Greetings all, Ferrariman601 here. Every now and again, Assetto Corsa, despite being almost 6 years old at this point, still throws us a little bit of a laugh, a little bit of a surprise, something that takes our minds off of the more serious nature of sim racing for a little while and just lets us kick back and enjoy the somewhat more grotesque, bizarre, and, shall we say, terribly slow aspects of life. This, courtesy of Gary Paterson, available via Race Department, is this, the Ligier JS8. Yes, this is a real mod. No, this is not a joke. Go over to Race Department via the link in the description below and download this thing, and then you too will also be able to experience the absolute, shall we say, I don't know, suicidal rage that will then ensue when you drive this thing, because you realize very quickly that we're not exactly talking about a speed demon. No, we're talking about a car that has a grand total of 7.5 horsepower. Yes, it doesn't even have 10 horsepower. It doesn't even have 50 cubic centimeters of total engine displacement there. Yeah, what is this thing? Why did Gary Paterson bother to make a mod of it, and why am I bothering to make a review of it? Well, this thing is the Ligier JS8, also known as the Ligier JS4. Remember the name Ligier, those of you who are students of Formula One history? Yeah, it's the same Ligier. This was a four-wheeled, obviously, two-seater microcar manufactured by Ligier. Yes, exactly the same Ligier that used to be involved in Formula One from 1980 to 1983. The idea behind this car, as far as I have been able to figure out from the very limited literature that is available online about this thing, the idea of this car was to produce a vehicle that could be theoretically streetable, but one that did not require an actual driver's license to operate on public roads. I don't know what the laws were in France at the time, and I don't know if they're different now, but in France, in the early 80s, you did not need a driver's license to drive a car that was this size and had this power output. Therefore, theoretically, anybody would be allowed to operate a vehicle like this on public roads in France, and, well, that is what Ligier decided to design, and that is what Ligier eventually put into production. From 1980 to 1983, they were producing these things. They came in a few different variants and specifications in terms of the engines that they had. The engine that Mr. Paterson has decided to give us in this mod here is a 49cc Motobecan 99Z two-stroke single cylinder. Yeah, two-stroke engine in this thing. So lawnmowers, anybody have a lawnmower? I'm sure you've all had a poke around a lawnmower at some point in your life. That is the level of engineering and the level of power that we're talking about here. 7.5 horsepower. I know for a fact that I have used lawnmowers that are more powerful than this car, and probably slightly heavier as well. The overall weight of this thing, according to the specs that are included in the nomenclature literature of this mod, 150 kilograms. So when you put somebody in the car, and remember, it theoretically could support two people, you have a driver and then one passenger somewhat comfortably situated in there, you're more than doubling the weight of the entire car. So there you go. Micro cars, of course, they have been around for a long time. You remember cars like the Peel P50, for instance, that was made famous again by Top Gear in the late 2000s with Jeremy Clarkson deciding to produce his own variant thereof, which turned into a hybrid, all things considered, really. But this is another one of those micro cars. You might want to call it a quad bike. You might want to call it an abomination. Whatever you want to call it, here it is. And it's in Assetto Corsa, and we're going to have some fun with it today. Of course, Gary Paterson, those of you who know his work, yes, he does work with Race Sim Studio from time to time, and I believe that he extensively worked on the Formula RSS3, which came out free for everybody some months ago. But he has also done some great work for Assetto Corsa as a freelancer. Most recently, from what I can remember, I think he did the Honda lawnmowers. So again, he's got some experience with lawnmowers there. That is the lawnmower tractor that they actually race in some ad hoc racing series that raced lawnmowers. And he also more famously did the Ford Transit last year, which I also reviewed. And for a utility vehicle, it actually is a pretty fun thing to drive in Assetto Corsa, because racing sims in general, they're devoted to really high-performance road cars and then, of course, race cars. It's not too often that we get really streetable things, really normal things that you might actually see in your daily existence. So when we do get something that is a bit more pedestrian, a little bit more realistic in terms of the things that we all get a chance to interface with in our day-to-day lives, it's fun. No, you're not going to be setting any lap records unless you're trying to set lap records in the opposite direction, but they're very cool nonetheless. And just as he did with the Ford Transit, Gary has done an absolutely brilliant job with this car inside and out. As it's spinning around here for us in showroom view, you can see that he has done absolutely fantastic modeling work in this thing. The proportions look right, the textures look right, all the details look absolutely great. We have operable lights. There you can see the headlights here on the front end. You can see just how small this car is, because this is as close as we can get into it in the vanilla AC showroom, but really, I love the detail on it. You can see how all of the lines are going around with the lenses there. When the lights come on and off, you get good screw head detail holding the outer bezel of those lenses in place. Around the back, you also have your brake lights, of course, and your marker lights for when the taillights come on. It's really cool. We've got rear glass that opens up, if I can remember which key actually opens up the rear glass. There it is, the 0 key. Really nice. I mean, he's done a great job with the detailing on this. We can open up the doors. You can see what's going on in there. Take a look down there in the footwell. You only see 2 pedals. Yeah. No, this car is not an automatic. This car actually has no gears at all in the main driveline. It's a CVT. So, yeah. Remember that video I did of the Nissan GTR when I was railing against Nissan and their absolute obsession with putting CVTs in every single vehicle they make? Well, this is also a CVT, and it also suffers exactly the same problems as most Nissans nowadays. Can we go into the cockpit and showroom view? No, we can't, actually, at least not in the vanilla Assetto Corsa. But you can definitely see what's going on in there. We don't have really any interior appointments whatsoever. There is, looks to be a parking brake, as that is. There's a lever in there. That's probably just to select between forward and reverse, and maybe there's a neutral position as well. You can see steering column detail in there. And then, of course, the pedals, as we mentioned. Throttle on the right, brake on the left, and no clutch, because CVTs don't need clutches. There is one gauge on the instrument panel, and that is a speedometer. There is no tachometer in this car, because there's really no need for one if you don't have to do any gear changing. Floor detail is nice in there as well. You can see it's just bare stamped steel, I would think. And, yeah, just a bench seat, or could you technically call that bucket seats? I don't know, but I don't think really anybody who bought this car, and believe it or not, in 1981 they sold almost 7,000 of these, at least according to the Wikipedia article, but yeah, they were not made in small numbers. They were actually mass-produced, and it was, it wasn't a complete failure as far as Ligier is concerned. Do I think there are too many of them still around today? No. And are there any more in active use? I would say definitely not, at least not as daily drivers. But there it was, the Ligier JS8 in Assetto Corsa. It's pretty cool. Also, you got to like what they did with the interior storage. There's just a well just below the windscreen there where the dashboard should be. But nope, there's just a well. And keep your eyes peeled in that section, because we've got a little Easter egg coming up for you a little bit later on. In the back, a little bit more storage, again, just behind the rear glass. Technically, you could call that a third door. I don't call it a third door. My daily driver truck has opening rear glass, and you can't enter and exit through there. So, no, it's a 2-door as far as I'm concerned. And below there, you can see that gray box in the left-hand side there of what I suppose you could call the C-pillar. That's actually the fuel tank. If that holds 1 gallon, that's a lot. So you can see there's the fuel filler, and then there's the fuel tank right there behind the driver's head. So basically, we have got a seat in the middle. We've got an engine someplace underneath the bodywork toward the rear. We've got the fuel tank right behind the driver's head. It's basically a Formula One car. in terms of its overall layout. It's got independent suspension, McPherson struts front and rear. So, I really don't see why this thing couldn't be a proper car. Why you couldn't, maybe take it to a racetrack like Imola and see what it does to the stopwatch. Let's find out about that. Welcome to Imola. Before we get out on track, of course, a look through the setup screen for what it's worth on the Ligier. Oh yes. As you can see on the gear display, we have one gear and it is not adjustable. Maximum speed, theoretically speaking, in a vacuum downhill is 69 kilometers per hour. Yes. Tires! We have one tire compound to choose from. It is called General Purpose Turf. Turf, in parentheses. Yes. Default tire pressures are 15 psi all around. The pressure adjustment range goes from 0 all the way up to 40. So that is quite the level of adjustability that you've got here. What happens when you bring it down to 0, actually? Nothing at all. Alright. Interesting. I do remember that there was a similar little bug on the Ford Transit van, and when you brought the PSI down to 0 on all 4 tires, it started to do weird things to the physics engine because that's a much heavier vehicle, and it started to go through the world. But not a problem on this thing, which, of course, weighs 150 kilograms dry. Fuel zeroed out to keep the engine quiet because it does make an awful racket. Maximum fuel capacity is 15 liters. Yeah, that fuel tank that we took a look at in showroom view, it's enormous, isn't it? Alignment, camber and toe on the front end only. And actually, no, it's just the toe angle. No camber to speak of. Defaults to 1, +1. It goes down to -5 if you want, or +5 on the other end of the spectrum. We'll leave it at default. Generic, the rear window, we can open the rear window partway or all the way for maximum downforce if we really want. We'll just keep it closed for the time being. And that really is just about it in terms of what you get setup-wise on this thing. It's interesting. I do want to point out one other feature, though. Mentioned that there was an Easter egg for all of us to look at. There it is. Parlez-Vous Baguette. Yeah, there it is. We've got a baguette there on the dash in that storage well. Why? Well, why not? Who doesn't love baguettes? And of course, this being a French car, we must have French cuisine, and, well, there it is. There is le baguette. Just in case you get hungry along the way, and considering that we're going to be at this for a little while, it probably won't hurt to have a little bit of nourishment on board. In the cockpit, well, yes, this is what we've got, and we'll just move our HUD displays here around so that we can get an unobstructed view down to the all-important dashboard, which you can see there just because of our depth of field and field of view, not quite legible, but if we go into the free cam view and we move the camera down, there we go. There's our speedometer, kilometers per hour. Off the pin there, it immediately will start to read about 10 or so clicks. Goes up to 80 clicks. We won't actually see 80 clicks. We have an odometer there, 1.7 kilometers indicated. Yeah, and that's about it. We couldn't get in here in showroom view, so we'll take a little bit of a look now. There's your door latch. You don't see any locks or anything like that because, quite honestly, if you wanted to steal this car, you wouldn't have to get inside. You could just probably pick it up and push it around like a wheelbarrow. There's your steering column detail. Pedals down there. The pedals don't move, quite unfortunately, but I don't really recall that being a feature in any Assetto Corsa car. Steering column is not articulated, but again, does it really matter all that much? There's the chassis plate. Ligier Automobiles. There is their street address, or what was their street address. Type JS8. There's your series number or serial number. They're saying that oh, okay. All right. Total authorized or allowable weight, 400 kilograms. So in other words, that is the cargo capacity. And let's see. Yep, produced on the 10th of September, 1982. Cool. So it has a max payload capacity of 400 kilograms. Of course, that's including your driver, passenger, and then any cargo that you might be able to squeeze into this box on wheels. And that's about it. All right, not too bad. back to the driver's seat for all of us. You can see our lap time ticking away there in the upper left. We've got a gear display in the lower left, punctuated by a pedal trace. The clutch is completely automated because it really doesn't have a clutch. It's a CVT. And the way that we interface with the transmission here is actually via paddles. It's not the way it would be in the real car, but my gear lever here, my TH8A shifter, is not doing anything for me right now, but the paddles on the back of my steering wheel are. They select first gear, which is the only gear, and it also selects reverse that way. So paddles, or perhaps a sequential stick, also would be usable for driving this car. But enough about just trying to beat around the bush here. Let's drive it. There we go. That's full beans. Yep. Listen to that symphonic sound of 49 cc's bouncing off the rev limiter at about 6,000 or so RPM. The pit lane speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour. The top speed of this car, according to the gearing, is 69 kilometers an hour. So here we are out of the pit lane here at Imola. Yes, we're not exactly going to be setting any speed records here today, are we? But just past the white line now, coming down to Tamburello for the first time. Do we have enough heat in the brakes? Are the tires up to temperature? I don't know. What's going to happen when we throw it into Tamburello? Do we brake? No, we don't brake. We just very gracefully turn it in toward the apex. And yeah, we'll just clip across the curves here. Very cool. Yes. That's the first part of Tamburello. Here comes the second. Oh, dear. Yeah, that's, you can see what's about to come. The engine is really right up to the rev limit right now. We can fix that. Because it's a CVT, we have to coax it to go into its next ratio. So we come off the gas a little bit, let the revs drop, and there we go. We're now in our top range. There's 60 clicks going by. Here comes the Villeneuve chicane. Alright, stay online. There we go. Get ready for the second apex. Nice. Use the AstroTurf on the exit. Bang on. Get it back on. Across the white line. Nice. Coming up to Tosa now. Do we brake? No, not necessary. Late apex. Let the car drift out wide. Eventually. There we go, there's the exit curves. And now up the hill toward Piratella. Are we going to maintain speed up the hill? We're actually gaining speed a little bit here. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. Nope, spoke too soon. Hill's getting steeper and we're going slower. Yeah, 7.5 horsepower, remember, so it has just about the same level of horsepower as a 5-year-old child running at full speed. Now into Piratella. How's the grip coming into here? Absolutely fine. No problems whatsoever. Take Piratella flat out. I have never been in another car that can take that corner flat out. Have a look at that. Get ready for some absolutely illegal speed now, heading downhill toward Acquaminerali. There's 69 clicks. Can we hit 70? This is our theoretical top speed. 69. We're not going to get above it, at least not then. Second element of Acquaminerali, there we go. Coming up the hill. Yes, listen to that compression in the drive line. We're dropping off by 15 clicks, coming up, cresting the hill now toward Variante Alta. Come on, let's get the speed back up. I know you can do it, little car. Come on. 57, 58, 59. Can we hit 60 before we have to? Yes! All right, come on. Do we brake? No. Let's just clip the apex. Take the F2004 line. There we go. Keep it flat. There's the AstroTurf. Yes. Brilliant. Come on. Downhill. Now, can we hit 70 clicks? I'm actually legitimately curious. Can we exceed the theoretical max gearing speed on this thing of 69 clicks? We need to hit 70. Come on, I want to set a speed record here of some sort. There's 67, 68, 69. Can we do it? I don't have a clutch, so I can't coast it down. 69, that is it. That is legitimately it. 69 kilometers per hour. That is the maximum speed. I will say, though, how many cars in Assetto Corsa currently exist where we can actually achieve the maximum theoretical speed? I mean, you know, there aren't too many places in this sim that we can go where we can actually max a car, but here it is, the Ligier maximum speed, accessible at several points on most circuits. That's pretty cool. We've taken to our hot lap line here, coming in close to the pit wall. The car is so narrow we could get all four wheels onto the green. And onto our first flying lap. The outlap, 10 minutes, 22.882. What can we do here? Flat out, down start finish. We're online. 62 kilometers an hour indicated. Cut a little bit narrow there. All right. Coming down to Tamburello. This very tight, very critical first corner around this scary Imola circuit. How deep can we push the braking? Will we have to use any braking? Will we just turn in? Yes, we will. Apex 1. Get the car settled out nicely. Apex 2, a little bit of a roll off from that. 61 kilometer an hour apex speed. Cut the corner off a little bit toward the end. 61 kilometers an hour. That is breathtakingly fast. I think people may have gone through Tamburello faster on bicycles. Now for the Villeneuve chicane, coming past 1 minute, 10 seconds in the lap. Into Villeneuve, we'll approach wide, we'll sweep in. A little bit wide in the first apex, that's okay. This is all about momentum management. We'll cut this one really harshly. There we go. Use the AstroTurf on the exit if we need to. We don't need to here, just use that Italian flag tricolor curbing. There we are, sector 1 done. We are 337 seconds up on our previous best. We're absolutely flying as we come into Tosa for a little bit of an earlier apex. We'll let the car drift out wide over the exit curbing here. Wonderful. Up the hill now toward Piratella. Let's try not to touch the steering. We don't really need to be inducing any frictional losses because we're coming up the hill and we can't really maintain speed. Yep, there it goes. There's the drop off through 54 clicks. 53, come on. 54, all right, we're accelerating again. Come on. 60, turning in to Piratella flat out. Absolutely floored by the level of performance that this car has. The only one I've ever driven that can take Piratella absolutely flat, except for maybe single racers of our 595, maybe. Haven't confirmed that. Down the hill. 69, that's it. That's absolutely it. It will not do one click more. Second element of Acqua Minerale. A little bit of grass there, getting braver. Apex curb, exit, all over those exit curves. There's 53, 52 clicks now. Coming up to Variante Alta. And there is 3 minutes. Come on, can we do it in under 5? I would be absolutely thrilled if we could do a lap in less than 5 minutes in this car. I'm not very hopeful of that, but we'll see. Let's get online here. Acqua Minerale, 61 kilometers an hour. Throw it in. Take the F2004 hot lap line. There we go. Who cares about track limits? Just straddle the AstroTurf there on the exit. 325 in. 64 clicks. Come on. Use the gravity assist. Go, go, go. Little more, little more, little more. Get up to the top speed now. We're not going to take this at quite as steep an angle as we took on the previous lap, simply because I want to see if we can get the absolute max inertia. There's 69. Can we get 70? Nope, not going to happen. That is the max. 69 clicks, coming off of the throttle a little bit. Shallow apex and a hard exit. Throw it in here for an earlier apex into the second Rivazza. And now, gracefully to the exit trying to maintain as much speed as we possibly can. There's 4:15 going by. We should be able to complete this lap in less than 5 minutes, which again, that is all I was aiming for here. We'll take to the green pavement for the line. There's 4:30. 4:35, come on. Can we make it in under 4:45? Maybe. Come on. It's going to be close. 3, 4, 5. 4:45.224. Fastest lap. As far as I'm concerned, that is a world record here at Imola, set before your very eyes in the humble little Ligier. I am the fastest person in the world at Imola. Thank you very much. Because there is no way I could possibly force you to sit through another flying lap in this car. Yeah, back to the pits with us. Oh, that CVT, it's absolutely terrible. When can we actually pick up the higher range? Right there. All right, so about 33, 34 clicks is when you can get into high range. The acceleration there is not too bad until you get to 48 or so. Still flat out. Again, we're running below the pit lane speed limit the whole time, so you're not going to have to worry about that. In the meantime, while we're at it, do we have backlighting on the instrument panel? No. No, we don't. I just turned the headlights on. No backlighting. Nothing like that. Yeah. It's a bit much. It'd be a little bit too much to ask, I suppose, for the early 80s French designers. But no matter, I mean, if you aren't really concerned about, you know, getting places on time, if you'd rather sit back and smoke a cheap cigarette and eat a baguette, yeah, this would be pretty good for appreciating the scenery. Not too bad at all. Not too bad at all, I must say. There's neutral, there's reverse, just to prove that it does actually go backwards. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Rev limiter at 10 kilometers an hour. What does it actually do in reverse, now that I'm curious? Just driving in the mirror here. Whoa, it'll actually... will it get to top speed in reverse? 50. It's actually going in reverse rather quickly. That's all right. That's really all right. I gotta make sure I don't run into the end of the pit wall here at the end. All right, I think we've got it settled, more or less. Yep. Pushed it a little bit too far, but that's okay because Mr. Paterson has said that there are no damage textures coming for this at any point. So as you can see here, we have got no damage whatsoever on the car, and that's absolutely fine, but we got to 60 kilometers an hour backwards. That's probably a record in and of itself. So we have set 2 records here today. Fastest ever lap at Imola in a Ligier, and fastest ever driven backwards in the whole history of Assetto Corsa. There it is. Absolutely fantastic. Awesome. Be that as it may, though, enough silliness. Why do you want this mod? Well, why do you not want this mod? It has a baguette. Find me another car anywhere in sim racing that comes with its own free included baguette. All right? So the baguette alone is enough to make you download this. And of course, it's free. So the car is free. The baguette is free. The humor, you have to provide that yourself, but there is no shortage of inspiration in that regard. And there it is. It's the Ligier JS8. 7.5 horsepower. According to Gary, it's 150 kilograms. Yeah, it's great. And there are your external sounds. It's fantastic, and you can see the performance potential that you have here, backwards and forwards. And, of course, you've got your exterior lights there if you so desire. 4 minutes, 45 seconds, .224. That is a fantastic lap time. I am very pleased with all of that. And, you know, speaking of laps, this car, believe it or not, reminds me of another one. that has been in Assetto Corsa for quite a while, and I do apologize. Some of you may never have heard of it before. It is a rather obscure piece of automotive art, I will call it. It's an absolutely brilliant car, but it is a little bit obscure, but it also happens to be French. So I do also just want to show you a little head-to-head between this car and another one of its French compatriots. It's a little bit newer, it's a little bit wider and a little bit longer, but in terms of its place in history, I think it's just about as obscure as this one was. So if you'll indulge me for a moment, we have a little bit of a head-to-head contest to do. Yes, of course, that is the Renault R25 2005 Formula One car next to our slightly more modest French compatriot. Yes, of course, this is a little bit of ridiculousness and some fun, but what I want to do here is 3 laps against this Ligier, and I want to see if I can lap it twice in the time that it takes to do 1. Yeah, to the cockpit with us. Yes, we're going to have a little bit of a challenge to get off the line here. Of course, we want to make sure we're leading into Tamburello. And off we go, lighting up the rears for good measure. And where is he? I don't know. Of course, this Renault has tons of power, tons of torque, 6 gears, and about, I don't know, 18,000 and a bit RPM. He is entirely gone. I have no idea where he is. Next time we'll see him, we'll be seeing him from behind. And if I had to hazard a guess, I'm going to say we're going to catch him by the time we get up to Piratella on lap 2 for us. Of course, he'll still be on lap 1. Just getting this Renault up to temperature, of course. Always a little bit of characteristic understeer coming from the front axle. That's how Fernando Alonso got his driving style to work, pitching the front end in with way more steering lock than he really needed, but it worked for him and it won a world championship. Will it win this race, though? Arguably the most prestigious affair that the R25 has ever been involved with. Into 5th, out of Variante Alta, coming down now towards Rivazza. In 6th, about 320 clicks. Into 1st gear, pick up the apex curbs, squirt the throttle on, let the traction control pick up the wheel spin. 2nd gear, hard over the curbs, out of the 2nd Rivazza, now down, start, finish for the first time under racing conditions. Our lap time with a standing start is a 1:23.212. We should be running well into the 17-18 range now that we're up to speed. Where is the Ligier? Oh, there he is. He's just going into Villeneuve now on his first lap. I thought we'd catch him by Piratella. Nope. Out of Villeneuve, and there he goes. Goodbye, little Ligier. All right, out of Tosa now for the 2nd time for us. Up the hill into Piratella now, up at racing speeds properly. The Renault, of course, feels absolutely fantastic. It's from my favorite era of Formula One design. Out of Variante Alta, now just coming past the 62nd point in this lap for us. Should be on for a mid-1 teens. What do we have at the line? Is it going to be a 117, 118, something around there? There it is, a 118.117. We've started our final lap. Where is the Ligier? Last time we caught him up through here into Villeneuve. That's not going to happen this time. Perhaps this is the lap on which we catch him in Piratella. We'll have to watch out for him. It's a little bit of a blind crest. Where is he? Can't see him yet. He could be right over the top of the hill, though. I don't want to catch him that way.
All right. There's Piratella. Where is the Ligier? He's gotten farther than I would have suspected. Aqua Minerale, where is the Ligier? I'm taking it a little bit cautiously here because I don't know where he's gotten to. There he is. See ya. How about that? He's doing his best. He's setting personal best times in all of the mini sectors there, but quite obviously there is no comparison between these two very different machines. Down start finish straight for the final time for us. Crossing the line, it's a 1:18.246. And now we wait for quite a while until the Ligier finishes 2 more laps. Or does he have to do that? No, I think he'll actually just cross the line, and then that'll be it, because the checkered flag is already out. See, when you have cars that are completely mismatched like this, it does weird things to the timing and scoring, so we will wait for him to cross start finish, and we'll be back with the results screen. And there, of course, are the final damages. Our elapsed time for 3 laps is 3 minutes 59 seconds, .575. The Ligier, try as it might, it only completed 1 lap, whereas we completed 3. His elapsed time for 1 lap, 5 minutes 12.352. The gap there, self-explanatory. Sector 1 for me, with a standing start, mind you. 22 seconds there. Obviously that would have been set on lap 2 all of these times here. But his best time in Sector 1, 108 seconds. That's almost 2 minutes. Sector 2 is very nearly 2 minutes at 113 seconds. They're doing it in 29.5. Wow. That's the difference. And of course, all of this, just a little bit of fun here. But I will now leave you with a look at not hot laps, but a single lap here at Imola, both from external cameras as well as onboard replay in the Ligier. 1 lap simply because it takes far too long for us to complete 2 laps, the better part of 15 minutes really, in the Ligier. So stay tuned for the hot lap, everyone. I thank you all very much for watching. FerrariMan601 saying thanks, and of course, we will see you soon.